Air raid alarms sound in Tel Aviv and Beersheba in the early hours of Tuesday as the Israel-Iran conflict rolls into its fifth day. G7 leaders convened in the Canadian Rockies in a summit clouded by heightened global tensions, war, and instability.
Zelenskyy has succeeded in drawing non-military support from Austria in his first visit since Russia's full-scale invasion.
Residents of Tel Aviv and the southern city of Beersheba were woken up in the early hours of Tuesday to loud air raid alarms going off. The sirens were activated after Iranian state-run media reported that the military had launched missiles at Israel. The threat was only short-lived as Israel's military soon confirmed that no strikes were expected. But over the past 4 days, Iran and Israel have exchanged hundreds of cross-border missile attacks, killing dozens of people. Tehran called Israel's attacks a war crime, while indicating that the response is proportionate and rooted in self-defense.
The Israeli regime deliberately struck densely populated civilian areas in multiple large Iranian cities where millions live. So far, 1,480 people have been killed or injured. At least 224 civilians, including women and children, have been killed. Iran will resolutely defend its security and territorial integrity. We focused only on military and economic assets involved in the aggression. Iran does not seek war or escalation, but we will not hesitate to defend our people, our territory, and our sovereignty.
At least 24 Israelis were killed in Iranian attacks so far, with close to 600 others injured. Israel has vowed to continue retaliating against Tehran, adding that there is only one way to end this conflict.
You want to de-escalate like we want to de-escalate. You want to de-escalate, get the nukes out of Iran's hand. That's all there is to it. It's all very simple. Escalation means rushing to the bomb. Escalation means attacking us with missiles from all over. That's escalation.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump departed Canada a day early where he's been partaking in the G7 summit due to the conflict intensifying. In a post on his social media platform, Truth Social, Trump warned all residents of Tehran to immediately evacuate the city, potentially hinting at an imminent major Israeli offensive.
Since the first strikes on Iran 3 days ago, Israel has targeted and killed several senior officials of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Mohammad Bagheri, the chief of staff of the Iranian armed forces since 2016, was among the casualties. He was ranking second only to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Hossein Salami was killed too. This early member of the Revolutionary Guards was also close to the Iranian Supreme Leader. Ghulam Ali Rashid also died in an airstrike. He was Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Feridun Abbasi, the former head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization, was too among the prominent scientists killed in Israel airstrikes. Ali Hajizadeh, commander of the Aerospace Force, is also among the casualties, as well as Mohammad Kazemi, head of intelligence for the Revolutionary Guards. At least 200 people were killed so far, according to the Iranian Health Ministry. Health authorities also reported that more than 1,000 people were wounded.
Leaders have been convening in Canada in a G7 summit clouded by global tensions, war, and instability. In opening the summit, Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney stressed that the world looks to the G7 for leadership. The summit comes as Russia's invasion of Ukraine rages on, and Israel's offensive in Gaza shows no sign of slowing down. Leaders scrambled to look for ways to contain the rapidly intensifying new conflict between Israel and Iran. Dozens of civilians were killed in hundreds of missile strikes across the two countries over the span of 4 days. Trump left the summit in the Canadian Rockies a day ahead of plans, with the White House saying the decision was due to escalations in the conflict. Early on Tuesday, Trump took to his social media platform Truth Social, where he hinted at a possible major Israeli attack on Iran. The U.S. president said Iran should have signed a deal when they had the chance, as he warned all residents of the capital Tehran to evacuate immediately. The summit also formalized a new trade agreement between the U.S. and UK, based on a framework pact announced last month. Trump says the deal is fair to both countries and will generate lots of income and jobs, a sentiment echoed by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Trump courted controversy early in the summit as he expressed his desire to expand the organization to include Russia and maybe even China. Trump says the decision to remove Russia from the G8 in 2014 was a very big mistake, noting that leaders must be able to speak to one another at summits.
Well, I think
In his first visit to Austria since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, President Zelenskyy has succeeded in drawing non-military support from the traditionally neutral nation. The Ukrainian leader confirmed the two countries had signed a number of cooperation agreements in key areas, including on Ukraine's reconstruction.
Дуже розраховуємо на підтримку Австрії у реконструкції України. Це треба робити і не тільки робити це після війни, але й вже зараз, щоб дати більше можливостей нашим людям, нашим містам, нашим селам.
Zelenskyy's visit to Austria comes ahead of his trip to the G7 summit in Canada, where he is expected to call for more sanctions on Russia and discuss a potential US military aid package with President Donald Trump. It also comes as Russia claims the US has cancelled upcoming talks aimed at restoring diplomatic relations and resuming peace negotiations with Ukraine. Meanwhile, an exchange between Ukraine and Russia of the remains of soldiers killed in action, an arrangement agreed upon during the last round of peace talks in Istanbul, has been completed. On the ground, however, Russian attacks continue, with a drone strike hitting the city of Sumy on Sunday night and Ukrainian power engineers coming under fire in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast.
The Paris skies are once again buzzing. With 2,400 exhibitors from 48 countries and 300,000 expected visitors, the Paris Air Show, the world's largest aerospace event, is back in full force. But this year, it's not fighter jets grabbing all the attention. Drones and artificial intelligence are rewriting the rules of modern warfare. With tensions erupting between Israel and Iran and Russia's war in Ukraine stretching into its fourth year, Europe is racing to rearm and fast. In a landmark announcement, Italy's Leonardo and Turkey's Baykar launched a joint venture on Monday to develop the next generation drone due in 2026.
Europe in the unmanned systems is quite behind. So first of all, I think the target is to fill the gap, having the possibility to develop different platforms with different payloads and different weight that take off, different capability, mission capability, and to offer them to different countries, different states in Europe. That will be already a very important target in the short to mid-term.
Combat lessons from Ukraine are reshaping European strategy. The EU wants full sovereignty and faster as well as cheaper production.
Donc cette coopération industrielle Italie-Turquie, c'est pas une nouveauté, et le fait de pouvoir produire en Europe 100% souverain des drones qui sont issus de l'expérience turque avec l'industrialisation et la qualité italienne, évidemment c'est une bonne chose pour l'Europe de la défense.
With drones reshaping modern warfare, Europe is racing not to be left behind.
Every year in spring I go to the beach with a new animal usually,
And then the whole summer I do experiments, and in the fall I'm a little bit wiser how these animals should survive in the future. And then I declare the animals extinct, so they are dead, and they go to the boneyard. And during the years there has been a sort of evolutionary history, you could say, and you could see these animals as a sort of natural historical objects. To handle the wind is something like working in a circus with the lions. You have to be friendly against them and somehow to influence their behavior and see how you can use it. That's the trick.
Well, you see a kind of development in the way he does things. So they start out very simple, and then they get increasingly complicated. So they evolve. So as he tells it himself, there's an evolution in his design.